Hey guys, today we're going to be taking a little bit further look back and revisit our trip to St. Lucia in October of 2019. This really was a big trip for us because it's where we got engaged. But more on that in a little bit. First of all, St. Lucia, if you haven't seen it or heard of it, it's a beautiful Caribbean island. It's going to have beautiful beaches, and really it's a perfect for a honeymoon getaway or just a relaxing vacation. Our hotel that we stayed at was on the opposite side of the island from where the airport is located. So we decided to rent a car and reserved it, did everything we needed to prior to arriving. When we got there, we were told we needed an international driver's license when I tried to get the car. But if we didn't have one, it's fine. You could pay a fee for a temporary one. So I didn't really look into it. I just said, sure, I just want to get on our way. I had other things on my mind, as we'll talk about in a minute. So just paid that, whatever that, it wasn't a large fee, but they gave me some paper with saying, whatever on it. But things we learned while driving in St. Lucia, because we live in the U.S., our steering wheel is going to be on the left-hand side of the vehicle. First thing that got our attention, or at least mine because I was driving, was here in St. Lucia, the vehicle that we had, the driver's sitting on the right side of the vehicle. And, obviously by my shock, this was the first time for me. So new experience getting to drive that in that manner. So because it was my first time driving on having the steering wheel and where you drive on the right side of the vehicle, also driving on the other side of the road, it took a little bit of time to get used to it, especially with the roundabouts and some of the things they had there, or when I was having to turn onto turn on a new street. My initial reaction is go into that right side of the road. Had to be on the left side, so it was just I was able to correct it, but it was just that muscle memory, which was a little different and interesting. But we got the hang of it pretty quick. Here, the drivers were very quick to want to pass. Even when there wasn't really couldn't go any faster because there was a ton of traffic in front of us. They wouldn't even make sure that they were out ahead of you enough before they tried to merge back into your lane. And very quickly I learned this because the first guy tried to come back into my lane and wasn't even far enough out that if I didn't hit the brakes, it would have hit me and send me off the road. So I became very aware after that of how we were driving to make sure in case anybody else tried to pass. Here, put the information in GPS, but probably Google Maps because that's what I usually use. Ended up taking us through a neighborhood in our route to get there. Ton of cars in the streets, and even the dogs. It's like the dogs were like no big deal. Like they would just lay in the road and not even move, and it's just like kind of like I feel like sometimes I get the look like, yeah, first time, buddy. But they did not care. So just being careful if you do drive and have to go through some of these areas. Just be careful with some of the traffic and the animals there. But yeah, the hotel we stayed at that we selected was the Harbor Club St. Lucia by Hilton. Very nice property. It's located right in the marina. There's going to be a nice pool area. Has a waterfall here that you can see. And if you get up close, you'll notice that there's an open space back behind the waterfall, so you can get in there, relax, take it easy, kind of just different view from within there. Right by the pool as well, there's going to be a bar, a ton of chairs and things to just relax, take in the sun. And where this hotel is situated, it's going to give you nice views of the marina I mentioned, and also the mountains are right there. There are rooms, giving the different room options with the different views. So rooms with the mountain views. There's also going to be rooms that have have a swim out option as well. So that's pretty nice. So it gives you a mix of options to select from. Yeah, food here was pretty good. Food options at the time we were there. There's a restaurant that makes good pizza. There's going to be another one, small restaurant, Asian cuisine. That included sushi that I remember that was pretty good. They also have just off the side, there's a little bakery that's going to have your pastries, your morning coffee. So all of these options were very good for our stay there. So now small detour, but just because, again, it was one of those memorable moments for me, I'd like to tell you guys kind of what led up to doing the proposal in St. Lucia and how that came to be. So we had booked this trip like we do normally, at least a couple months in advance, probably more. And asking my now wife to marry me wasn't really something on my mind that I was thinking about. But maybe now we got to about now a month from before our trip. We happened to be probably at the mall and made our way to a jewelry store. My wife wanted to look at something, and I decided, what the hell? I was just curious, kind of what she liked as far as ring options and things like that. So kind of started as innocent as that. And they let us know that there was going to be some, I don't know what type of event they called it, but basically it was an event where they brought in somebody that goes to the various different stores, and they're going to have a bunch of different ring options as well as different stones. And so we went back a little bit later for that event, and yeah, she ultimately found a ring. She found the stone that she liked. And after she did that, I asked her to leave the store so I could speak to the folks there, because obviously it's not a surprise that we're looking at rings, but I did want it to at least be a surprise. She didn't know if I ended up getting the ring or not, so which kind of goes into the rest of the story here. So I asked her to go ahead and leave, like I said, and I knew this was someone that I really wanted to be with. I didn't really have to think twice about purchasing the ring. So basically talked to them for a bit, everything worked out. And then after that time, I went ahead and found her somewhere else, looking around. And I just told her, hey, it didn't work out. They didn't want to work with me on the price or whatever else I had said. That was the main reason I think that I used. But I had just already bought the ring and figured all that out. So to keep her guessing, we had gone into another store, and I found out they were doing a similar event at this different jeweler. So to make it believable, I drug her over to that one and kind of went through the whole thing with her there, which is kind of funny when you look back at it. But I needed to keep her guessing so she didn't know what was going on. So we did the whole thing at that next store. Ultimately, I politely told them that after she had left, I wouldn't be purchasing the ring at that time. I don't know if it was still... the ring option was great. I think still the one we picked before, she had selected before and I'd already purchased, was the better option. But did that. Her parents were in town shortly before we had to... her mom and stepdad were in town shortly before we were going on our trip. And... I let them know. I talked to them both separately when I was able to get time with them when my wife now wasn't around, and I let them know that hey, I was going to ask her to marry me, and they were both real excited about it. And her mom knew. She said that she knew that I was going to ask at some point, and that I was the one. So it felt really good to hear that. So back to the trip. So this was our first trip to St. Lucia, and I contacted the hotel to get some recommendations on proposal locations, and also photographer recommendations. They offered a few spots, I think mostly on property. They also gave me info for a few local photographers so I could have someone capture the moment. So I contacted them and kind of got that arranged. So she's a photographer. It would have been a major fail by me if I didn't have any pictures of the moment, especially because it was just us on the trip. So I didn't have any friends or family or anybody to capture the moment for us. So ultimately being great. So we got some of these moments that you can see here of when it happened and the reaction. So went over great. So now the time when it came, so they had decided, I told her, get ready for dinner. I wanted to go ahead and grab a drink, maybe walk around a little bit before we, and see what else there was at the hotel before we went to dinner. So if you recall back when I was showing you the pool, there's a bar, and then above that, there's going to be this little section, seating section that can be reserved for special occasions. If you have the hotel status with Hilton, you can go ahead and reserve that too, no charge. and I arranged that beforehand to make sure that it was available for us for this proposal. When we were down there, I said, "Oh, hey, look, it's open," because usually it's roped off. And I said, we should go up real quick just before we got the drink, just to kind of get a different view of the marina and everything there. I caught the photographer's attention, and once I did, I just started to talk to her about how I love spending time with her, all the things we've done together, until the moment that felt right. And I just dropped down and pulled out the ring and told her I wanted to spend the rest of our time together, and if she would marry me. At that point, I was all focused on her. Didn't know what the photographer was doing. Luckily, he was able to snag a few pictures down below. So it's kind of blocked just because of where we're at. It's just, how it worked out. But he was able to capture some of it as I was finishing the proposal. He did his best, ran up, captured some of the rest of the moment. And I'm glad we did that and had someone there because it's a special moment. We'll always get to remember, and it's nice to be able to visually see that and helps us remember some of those days, especially as we get older. So St. Lucia has some beautiful beaches. Because the hotel's in the marina, not directly near a beach, you can't just obviously get in the beach. So what you can do is you can schedule a ride with the front desk. The hotel has a boat that I think is theirs. But on this day, we were hoping to take the boat to the beach. But I think some influencer or someone, some special person was there. And they were going to use it instead for them and their family. So instead, they provided and arranged a car to go ahead and take us to the beach. And this beach, if I recall, is Pigeon Island Beach. It's going to be kind of close to, there's at least a Sandals resort out there that is very close to. But even with that, there weren't many people out there, just a few of us enjoying it. So yeah, that section wasn't very busy. There's also going to be a little restaurant that you can walk to that's in the distance that you can see, but it's not very far at all, where we can go have some lunch. But mostly here we were able to snorkel for a little bit. I thought we took some video and photos in the water. I couldn't find any. I was hoping I could, because I remember in particular, there's this large school of fish that was out there. And I kid you not, it was so large that it went on for, at least 3 minutes, where it was just fish just swimming on by. So if you just stay in the water in one spot and looking, they just continue to go just past us. It was so cool. They just kept on coming. Didn't know when it was going to stop. For a second, I was wondering if something was chasing them. Didn't seem to be the case, but it was pretty neat to see that amount of fish just go by us. So while we were here, we were celebrating my birthday a few days later, and my wife arranged a private driver that was going to take us for some stops throughout the island. Started in the morning, and we drove through town for a little bit. And in this town, surprisingly, there's a cruise port. There happened to be a ship in there. I think it was a celebrity cruise ship that was in port at the time. We didn't stop in town. He continued to drive us through to an overlook that you can see here on the south side of town. And we were able to get some nice views and pictures here together of that. After we got done with that, we drove a bit more, came across a ton of banana fields. And they use the bananas and a ton of things that I'll talk about in just a second. As we were going through that and seeing the banana fields and other things, there was a few small towns along the way that he stopped at to let us kind of walk around. And some of the towns, there was vendors there. Some of them were selling art that I'll see if I can forgot to grab, but it's hanging somewhere in our room that I'll grab that we got to remember it here. They also, with the bananas, banana ketchup. Interesting. Wasn't something I was my favorite, but it was interesting. So if you're out there, definitely try it out. It might be something that you enjoy, or at least you can bring back for your family or friends, because it is definitely something interesting you don't really see. These towns are really nice because as you're coming through, some of the towns are going to be coming up from above, different vantage point as you get into town. And they just stand out for their vibrant colors. They're just beautiful buildings. Our driver, before getting to our main stop that we'll talk about, took us to a spot for lunch that was really good. Unfortunately, I don't remember the name of it, and back then I wasn't taking photos and videos of what we're having. But we trusted him to take us somewhere good, and he came through for us. So here, real quick, we made a stop for a picture of the Twin Peaks. You can see a driver took a few pictures of us with the Pitons before one of the highlights of this trip, that we got to drive through an active volcano. And you can see some spots where it's bubbling. Hopefully you can see it here. And you can't smell it through this video here, but it had a very strong stench. And hard to describe it, but it's just a very, very strong stench that stands out. You kind of get used to it after a few minutes, but it'll get you as soon as you get out real quick. But here, the main stop was the Sulphur Springs and the mud baths. So if you'd like, which I highly recommend if you're going to come all this way, is you can bring a change of clothes so you can go ahead and get in and be able to enjoy it, and at least say that you got to do it. They have buckets there with mud, so you can put it on. They say it's supposed to help with skin detoxification. And then being in the springs, that it's supposed to help with blood circulation and maybe some other things. But those were a couple of the main things. I can't say if any of that is true, but sure, I'll play along and go ahead and see. But one visit, it's hard to say. So if we go back, I'll have to see. Now that I'm a bit older and got the wrinkles and such, maybe it's going to help me. So who knows? But yeah, really enjoyed my time in St. Lucia. Because we got engaged here, it's going to always be a special place for us. I would definitely love to revisit in the future. And I'd say, it's a beautiful island worth visiting. So if you have the ability to do it, definitely add that to your list. So that's going to bring us to the end of this video today. Again, hope you all enjoyed my commentary and the videos. If you're not already, please subscribe if you're enjoying it, and let me know anything in the comments you'd like me to know about or share with you that maybe I didn't do here. So until the next one, we'll see you later. Bye.